really, they've like gone away from that. You mentioned about Wembley Stadium. Now, did you like one of my favorite matches is British Bulldog versus Bret Hart at Wembley Stadium. Do you see yourself in that kind of match? Wow. Did I just yeah. Do you see yourself doing that kind of match at Wembley Stadium? Or and what is one of your favorite matches from like your childhood?
Yeah, definitely that match. I mean, I think when anybody starts becoming a wrestling fan, it's those matches of that sort of era that they always see as their favorite matches, and that sort of era for me was Bret Hart and the Bulldog, and anything from that sort of period all the way up to Mankind and Undertaker with the Hell in a Cell, anything sort of in that sort of period that was really, it was still a stage where you want to talk about kayfabe, and obviously I was kind of facetious when I was talking about it, and I mean, it depends where you are. You go to Japan, and obviously, kayfabe is still a very big deal there. Obviously that's why the business is a lot more realistic over there than it is in America. And it's not that kayfabe is dead or isn't dead or whatever else. It's just, to me, it's kind of a moot point. It's kind of a moot point. You can discuss. Most of the fans know more about the wrestling business than certainly than I do, being a wrestler. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, so it's neither here nor there. And there are certain companies where they still make a big deal out of kayfabe, and if that's the company that you work for, then that's what you've got to do. Ultimately, I guess I somewhat have the luxury being in Ring of Honor that we don't have same sort of restrictions placed on us as we do for other companies, So, but I think thinking back to those days, definitely that match in SummerSlam was one that really stands out to me. Oh, what did the other one? WrestleMania 8. Apparently, WrestleMania 8 didn't draw very well. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I actually did hear that.
Yeah, and to me, when I think back as in my childhood, that to me was like one of the best WrestleManias I ever saw, which again gives you a sense of, being a fan and how what your idea of a fan is sometimes doesn't match up with what the idea of it is good in terms of business sense. I mean, I watched that WrestleMania, and you had Shawn Michaels and Tito Santana in the opener, which I thought was a fantastic opener, and then you had, what else was on that show? You had Ric Flair and Randy Savage, which was a big blow-off to that whole angle, which I thought was fantastic. And if you go back and watch that WrestleMania now, you look at the heat. You just look at the heat for that match, and it was off the charts. You don't see heat like that. And some people that I guess would still believe in kayfabe will probably point to that as one of the reasons why the crowd was so hot back in those days, and why nowadays you don't get those same sort of crowd reactions. You get people to pop for cool stuff, but to really have that invested emotion, it takes a lot to really get that same sense of emotion out of the fans.
And that's absolutely true. I'm one of the people that say that wrestling fans 15 years ago were more into the product than what they are now, but it wasn't nearly as big in money-making either back then. So as the business grows, I guess you got to lose something in the process somewhere.
Maybe, I don't know.
Nigel, I know you've not got a lot of time here, but and I know in a lot of interviews you probably hear word association. Have you ever done anything like that before?
Yeah, I try and steer clear from it because it just always annoys me and frustrates me, and then I end up, because it's very difficult. You get someone, and they're going to throw a name out, and you're supposed to say the first word that comes to mind. And what if the first word that comes to mind is like syrup? Or something ridiculous like that, and then you sound like an idiot, and you make the guy sound like an idiot as well. So, to be honest,
that is the greatest response that I could have possibly imagined to that question.
To be honest with you, I'll give you my opinion on people or certain things, but I'm certainly not going to throw out one or two words and hope they match up with the sentiment that I have for that person, because I might as well be on bloody jeopardy anyway. So go ahead.
Well, let me. I'll tell you what. I'll slim it down just a little bit. Of the big three right now in wrestling on television, honestly, which product do you think is better and why?
You tell me what the big three are first, and then I'll tell you.
That would be Ring of Honor, TNA, and WWE.
Okay.
All three having TNA or all three having TV deals.
In terms of wrestling product, in terms of entertainment, in terms of, you know what I mean? It's very difficult to say that. You know, I don't watch a lot of TNA, to be honest with you. I try to, but I'm usually kind of busy on Thursday nights when they run. WWE I usually watch on Monday nights. I'm a huge fan of Santino Marella. I think he's brilliant and entertaining, and Regal, obviously, I love to watch as well. And there's a few guys, Evan Bourne, of course, you know, a few guys that I love watching in WWE. But then the same sort of thing goes for Ring of Honor. I don't think I can really make an objective statement about that because obviously I'm involved with Ring of Honor, and you know, there's a lot of guys that I know personally there. So, yeah, how's that for a rubbish answer?
Sounds great to me.
It was an honest answer.
Yeah.
Now, a couple people in chat actually asked this question. I'm going to go with the person that worded it the best, at least.
Yeah.
Vintage wants to know, what happened with you and TNA? What led to you leaving? And when, now there was rumors that at the time, TNA and Ring of Honor had their talent exchange, and TNA went to break ways, and people had to choose TNA or Ring of Honor. He wants to know what happened with that whole thing, and were you directly involved with that?
I definitely wasn't directly involved, and I wasn't sure I ever sort of left TNA. I did, what did I do there? I did like 3 shots for them. I did an X Division Gauntlet Battle Royal, and then I did that pre-pay-per-view match with Shark Boy. Which I was very happy with. It was a good little match for what it was. And that was it really. There were just a couple of little one-shot deals where I came in and did the best I could, and that was it really. I think it was guys like Aries and Roddy that were more involved with that eventual sort of split where guys had to go one way or the other. Joe. Chris Daniels and people like that. So no, I honestly didn't know exactly what went down at all.
Okay. This is also a 2-part question. This is the question we got the most when we were asking for questions for you that people wanted to know. You use a lot of lariats. Obviously, that's your forte, so to speak. What's your favorite user or version of the lariat? Where did you come up with the Jawbreaker lariat?
The Jawbreaker lariat, actually, Gabe came up with the name Jawbreaker lariat after I wrestled Jimmy Rave. I think it was that match in Liverpool that I talked about earlier. And the next week, he went to the doctor and had a broken jaw. And for storyline purposes, they